Hello guys and welcome to chapter 8. I think in my opinion chapter 8 is one of the most interesting chapters, and it's definitely heavily deeply analyzed, and I think you're gonna enjoy in all the lines we're gonna see now. So my proposition here is to play a3, the most principal move. We're gonna directly transpose to Nimzo line after fourth move f3, but in better version for white, since black already played here d5. So there's no the annoying lines with b6, knight c6, knight e5 and etc. Okay, so takes. This is some forced move, e3. So castle is the main move here, but it's also possible to play bishop f5. Since black would be happy to exchange this bishop here, we will not make him that easily. So my proposition is to play f3, knight e2. So just with idea to push g4, h4, as you'll see in our theoretical file, I think white has a very pleasant position. So after castle d3, there's a lot of different here moves that black can play. So c5 is the main move, but black also can play b6 without c5. The difference only will be that in this line we have queen d3, guys, and after queen c8, we simply follow the ideas we'll see in the main line. So the idea of the whole setup is the f3 and to push e4 in some moment. But what is the interesting thing? Is knight b8, guys. So queen c8 will definitely transpose the ideas as in main line we're gonna see, but knight b8 is interesting, since here I want to show you a new interesting way how to treat this position. So once again, with f3, we will transpose to the main line of this variation. So here we have new interesting way, d takes c5, and if black takes b takes c5, we play c4. So interesting position will arise, and you can see some interesting games like how Tatabe played against Yufa, and white has really pleasant structure, risk-free position. I think maybe more maybe this 7, I think it's a little bit better, and I think it's critical test for us, but we'll accept this pawn sacrifice, and with the next model game I will show you the best setup for white. So we take and instantly play rook b1. The idea is to play rook b4 and a4. So for example, grandmaster from Spain, Arizmendi, played against Sokolov rook a5, which is completely fine, but after this beautiful idea, and then Sokolov reached dominant position. So we are pawn up, all pieces are fine, bishop e1 is coming a4, in some moment c4, Sokolov definitely had here dominant position. So maybe slightly better move than rook a5 is knight e5, improving the knight, put strong knight on c4, but we still follow our idea, as recently played between two FIDE masters, and in this moment, Sutormin claimed the advantage against Lepic Andrei. As I said, the game recently played in Novi Sad. We're gonna follow bishop d2, bishop e1. White is slightly better. Yes, I mean white is better, but if you ask me, I would always choose to go for main line, since it's a little bit more aggressive, and this is a little bit more positional. But here I just want to show you the all options we have, guys. Okay, so let's go to main line, c5, knight e2. b6, guys. I want to show you that this move, maybe for most of the people would seems logical, c4 to push b5 a5, is played more than in 50 games, but I think this is not right moment to close the center, because at one point it will be very hard to fight against f3 e4 idea, which is most important for us. So let's see. After sequence of the most logical moves, knight g3, we are ready to push e4, which is the main goal of our line. And now when black play h5, which is the key idea you'll see in the main line, key idea, I'm very proud here to show you my beautiful novelty. So yes, e4 and knight h1 is possible to play, and we definitely have the advantage here. You can see a little bit analyzes, but h4 is the novelty. It's simply this pawn is untouchable. So e4 is the next move. So if you want to continue with a5, e4, and when we proceed with e4, when we achieve this, white in 99% of the positions have strategically winning strategically winning position. But even if we play queen c7, we have queen e1, and he didn't prevent e4. So you know what happens after e4. If he don't takes, we usually continue simply with e5, f4. So black here can try to prevent that with queen f4, but still we achieve to push this pawn. And after sequence of next move, after knight e4, 2 pawns are hanging, d5 is obviously much more interesting to us, and according to engine we have dominant position. So after h4, white has much better position. Okay, that was c4. If black plays knight c6 here, same ideas as main line. We already examined that in main line, so there's no point here to analyze that more. So b6 castle, f3. So this is the main position of this line, and rook e8 here is the best move. If black takes here and play knight c6, of course with rook e8 we are back to the main line. So bishop d3 is still not mistake, but knight c6 is mistake, because here he don't have rook on e8 and we simply push e4. So after this, e5 is coming and white has dominant position. Interesting move was played by one GM, queen d7, and from this moment I don't want to play e5. Yes, e5 is very logical move here, but I don't want to play it currently. I guess the idea of this grandmaster was to play knight e8 f5 to block it, but here I want to play bishop g5. And after c4 and knight e8, white, who is very strong GM, follow with the right idea, knight g3, but I think generally knight g3 will not escape. Knight g3 will generally not escape. First we can play a4 to prevent b5, and now knight g3 is coming. Okay, so rook e8, knight g3. So this is first critical test here for black. And here we have a lot of interesting move, guys. I want to get immediately to queen d7. This is very interesting place for the queen, it can go to b7 to help, to trade this, and maybe even to play queen a7 to offer queen trades. A lot of different ideas for black. And I think most of people here continue with idea preparing like to play e4, but with my novelty we achieve almost winning position here, and e4. I'm very proud to show you this beautiful novelty. So here's the point. After he takes on d4, we have bishop g5, very energetic continuation. So if you play rook e6, it seems that black is holding everything for a moment, but e5. e5 we takes on d4 and we have winning position. Why is not possible here to play rook e5? I'm gonna show you here. After d takes e5, so this is very similar to rook e6 e5. We take and f4. Completely winning position for us. Even though if we find the engine c2 doesn't do anything. At the end, knight f5 is coming, we have winning position. So queen d7, guys, here is not good move, but also not h5. It's too early for black key idea. We take and d4, and once again, white has winning position. Queen c8 is also interesting idea. The idea lays behind that after we push e4, that he has like queen c3, hitting the rook on a1 and d4. It's very interesting idea, but unfortunately for him it doesn't work. After bishop a6 and bishop b7, we win the game here. So one international master on an online game against Esipenko played knight e6, and this Esipenko followed rook a8. The unique thing is Esipenko missed here, which I don't blame him, it's online game. This is critical moment for us, and we need to continue with brave and novelty. Knight f5. I think that after knight f5 it's +4 for us. So position is winning, but not that simple. So let's see why it's so much winning. So if he takes knight e4, seems most logical move. We have rook c2, queen g4, and after knight h6, black can resign. Second move to collect the pawn is rook e4, rook c2, bishop g5. We pin him, and with queen f3, I can count the numbers of the threats we can do. So knight c5 is the move according to engine, and the final touch here is e5. Final touch e5 we need to know. So rook e5 is not possible due to silent bishop d2, and we win material. He needs to play knight e4, and after queen g4, it's mate, and knight on c5, and we win. We win. Okay, so all these moves are not good for black, so we continue with main line. Okay, bishop b2. Okay, so this is second critical moment for black, and in practice, black tried over 5 different ideas, and you see in theoretical file all of them. The file is very big, and don't be scared of that. You just simply need to learn the ideas. Ideas is very simple, and you don't need to be scared of so many sidewise black can't play it, because if you just understand what's your idea, it will be very simple for you to play. So h5 here is the best move and key idea for black. That's in my opinion, the only good way to fight against this variation. c4 is also possible, and together with h5, it's one of the black top choices. And in this position, black tried to play h3 here, which is a mistake, because after queen g3, e4, there's a zillion different threats, and we have dominant position. Queen d7 is interesting novelty by computer to sacrifice the pawn and just push it. But I think even the end of this position, after queen g5, you know, we are pawn up, there's some e4 in the air, b5, b6, you know, definitely a little bit more pleasant position for us. Most of the people here played queen d7, rook e1, we already know our idea, you know, knight g3, rook e1 to push e4. There's none of single moves that can prevent that. h4, you know, after knight h1 will be back on g3, and he will not prevent e4. And when we achieve e4, we have winning position. So here is interesting move to play knight e7. As you will see in the main line we're gonna examine very soon, this is usually the best defensive maneuver for black. Knight e7, knight g6 offers a lot of good defensive ideas for black. 2 knights around king should be fine. So here after e4, knight h1, we achieved this center we want, and after e5, queen f3, I think very interesting position is arise, you know. But I wouldn't play from black perspective, because when you flip a board, you can see there's no any counterplay on queen side. b5, a5 is too slow, and I have a lot of attacking ideas, starting, you know, with knight f2, knight h3, queen h5, so many ideas. And also after knight h3, queen h5, there's also some knight g5 ideas, you know. So additionally, we can always bring some more pieces into the attack, bishop c1, rook e4. So in my opinion, it looks like very, very unpleasant position for black. Also, for example, here, rook e6 was tried by Edward, strong GM, and after d takes, knight f5, he took on e4, you know. He really gave his best to take this pawn, but after queen f4, knight g7, we have winning position, as you can see in the game Peralta Edward. Queen h6, knight h5, and black can surrender. So as you can see, there is no good way to prevent e4. Maybe the best one is knight e7. But generally speaking, I think queen d7 is not the best move. So that's c4. I also want to mention that when you play queen d7 in any of these lines, here queen d7 or queen d7 in move 15, doesn't prevent us to play e4. And not only that, usually often happens that after day takes, rook f6 is many times in the air. You know, rook f6 is in the air, and that's very unpleasant for black. You see, for example, here we maintain a strong center, knight f5 is coming, followed by rook g3. According to engine, we have completely winning position. So queen d7 is not good move. So you can see the other moves by yourself. I think h5 is the key idea here. And once again, this is, in my opinion, third critical moment for black, where he needs to continue with h4. Once again, just like in previously, queen d7 doesn't prevent us from playing e4. h3, e5. When we achieve this, you know, position is winning for us. Knight h5, and you'll see in many positions, knight h5, I propose f4 idea. and also here, according to computer, we have winning position. G6 is interesting move here, played by one international master a few years ago, prevent us from jumping to f5, but no problem. We're gonna transfer knight to another square. So knight f2, and we will jump to h3 or g4, depends on how they will play. Okay, queen b5, attacking the knight, bishop c1, and this moment black is in zugzwang, because if you go back, I take on c5, rook d1, I'm gonna win d5 pawn and queen winning position. And if you play g5, which looks much more logical move, I jump to g4 with idea g3 f4 with winning position. Queen b2 is also winning move. So generally, when we achieve position like this, everything is going so smooth for us. Sometimes, usually, people takes on d4, then push on h4, which is usually solid reaction. And why should here continue with h3? Knight h5 we will see even in main line later is a reaction for many players. The idea, is to occupy f4 square and bring the queen to g5, creating some attacking chance. But it's nothing serious for us. You will see we always react with e4. g6, you will see even in main line how many times people play g6, but remember, almost everywhere, here and later, we always react with check and knight g4, and we have winning position. So this happens almost every time. So after e4, queen f6, we reach position which was played a long time ago in 1966 between ex-world champion Botvinnik and Kuraitsa Boyan. And here I propose interesting novelty, improvement, f4. So you'll see I constantly in this line, even later in main line, I propose this f4 because I want to close this f4 square so he can jump and push e5. e5 would be very bad to allow, so he needs to take. At the end, I'm gonna have this pass pawn, and queen d7, c7 is in the air, and I believe we have winning position here. So what happens then if black continue with h3? Here we have a few solid options. Veji played online against Parham, g4, and after 97, you'll see even the main line that this is usually black best defense, goes to g6, defends the king, and also contributes to some counterplay against our king. So e4 is interesting position, and here, in my opinion, black should play knight e7, knight g6, which we achieve some unclear position with both mutual results, both results as outcomes. Knight h5 played by one Chinese player, 2480, as I mentioned already, very logical move, people trying to play knight f4, queen g5, and once again I want to push f4. After f4, it's hard to believe, since we tried many ideas as queen h3, it's hard to believe, but black can survive this position. But first of all, let's see how game went. So black take here, and after rook g2, we have completely winning position. So this happens at the game and shows actually, this game actually represents the classic example of what can happen after we take the crucial f4 square from black. It's unreal to find here g6, and after we sacrifice the piece, in the end he can escape with king, but he needs to find here king d7, the only defense move for black. So if we find this, we can take on f5, f7, but after knight e7, our king is a little bit exposed, and it's equal position and enough for black to survive. Okay, we continue with main idea, h4, knight h5. Knight h5, guys, as already explained last time, we know what's the idea, knight f4, queen f6, or queen h5, so many possible moves here to play it. I want to show you one interesting game. Black here push h3, the key idea from black in main line, fails in combination with knight h5. So this was played by strong GM 2560, and Matlako played perfectly. g3, e5, we achieved the center we want, and after knight d7, knight d6, knight f7, Matlako reached completely winning position, which he converts to win, of course. Also, rook e6 played by very strong player, but as we saw, like Edward recently in move 15 or 16 played also rook e6, but after bishop c1 we cover f4 square and we continue with e5 and we claim winning position here according to agent plus minus years. So most logical response for black would be queen f6, you know. If we play e5, he can play knight f4 and shows how he can make the counterplay. So what is then here important move? All pieces are good for us except now bishop. Bishop finished his job here on b2 and he's going back. So securing the important f4 square. C takes d4 is not possible to this position, to e takes d5. So he needs to play knight e7 here. And after knight e7, interesting position will arise here. e5 takes g6. And after this moment, he needs to play queen e6 to prevent g4. Because if you play knight f5, we have winning position here. g4, king g2, rook h1, g4 in one moment, f5. It looks completely winning position. So maybe the best is to play queen e6. And I think the best option is for us is to sacrifice the pawn for activity. So rook f1 is coming. We definitely tried to take rook f5, you know. Black is under some significant pressure. And in my opinion, black has at least promising position. Okay, so that's with knight h5. So what is the move? h3 is the move. And we get to the main position of this line. So I want immediately to mention, okay, my proposition is knight g3, but I immediately want to show you e4, which was played in only few games. And I think this move definitely presents one of the few dangerous challenges for black. So knight e7, knight g6 should be standard defense for black. But unfortunately, in the practice is not used as much as it should be. So after knight g3, bishop c1, position is unclear. So we threat e5, we cover critical f4 square, bishop g5 is coming, so position is very unclear. If he first takes here, then it shows what we want to do. This is position we want to do. So open position, take knight h5, play rook g5, followed by e5, f4, f5. So one of the best moves for black is to take on h2, and after knight h5, this is what I want to show you. You know, usually people react like this, trying to occupy f4 square. But once again, if we play here rook g2, after knight e7, black should be fine here. I mean, black position looks dangerous, you know, and definitely possible to play this, you know, but I prefer, instead of rook g2, I prefer f4, as it brings more dynamic position and complications, where easily can black make mistakes. So let's see, f4, there's no knight f4, and there's always queen h3 idea. So for example, if you play g6 here, or d takes e4, we simply claim the win here, as we saw in the game between two strong Chinese players. So if you play g6 here, now sacrifice of the piece works charmingly. Rook e2. Now our king is not exposed in that line, and we have dominant position. Everything is hanging here for black. So the best move he can actually react is knight e7, and after queen h3, f5. According to engine, I think it's around equal, but you know, I'm just seeking for some aggression here. And as I said, according to engine, if he find few more defensive moves, I think he can achieve equality. But position is definitely interesting and offers a lot of attacking checks. Practically speaking, you see, guys, in practice, a very few people played like engine, and most of them in such a moves after f4 simply crash. As you see, that Chinese player took on e4, and after queen h3, we can see we can win in the same way as this Chinese player did. Okay, so knight g3. Here's a lot of possible moves from black. Standard defense would be this, but this transposed to 17 move e4, which I already been analyzed. Queen d7 is played a lot of times, you know. The idea is that after h takes to g2, he has some queen h3 idea. So it forces us to take with king. Rook f2, maybe queen h3 is solid move. So we take here. And after knight e5, guys, I must say that computer here shows equality. Queen d1 was played in a game between two strong women players. And Sochko failed here to find equality. Sochko played c takes d4, and after d5, position completely crumbled for her, and I think and she lost the game. She should play immediately knight g6, and after e5, queen h3, we don't have nothing better than to repeat the moves. So after long analyzing this position, I was thinking like how to find something interesting for white, and I did. I think the best way to play for us is queen e2 and rook f6. King h1 could be solid alternative following our ideas, knight f5, rook g1, e5, but why not? This is probably the most challenging and doubting move for black. It demands precise way to fight for equality. So I'll show you why. So if you give check, we win after knight h5. So he needs to find here the sequence of very serious move, starting with c takes and rook c8. Now knight h5, so he can play rook c6. Okay. Even if he founds that after king h1, position still looks very dynamic. So for example, if you want to run with king, we have a4. If he takes that pawn, queen f3, we have winning position. And if we play queen h3 after d5, we simply keep our initiative. It's not easy position. Okay, the position also contains some risk for us, but I think, it seems like much more dangerous position for black. According to engine, best move is queen h3, and we play immediately d5. So f6 is hanging, and we want to play some queen f2, rook g1 idea. So position is around equal, but still requires some precision in defense. I would take rook f6 without thinking, and I hope if this happens position to you, you will also do. In the earlier lines, you'll see definitely how rook f6 can be a painful way for black, so that's why I like it also here. So h takes, king h2. If now black plays knight e7 without including c takes d4, I think that's slightly unprecise for him. Rook g1, as we already saw in the lines above, we want to play knight h5, rook g5, and after this we came slightly better position. We have the center, and we want in the future to play e5, f4, f5, or h4, h5, to bring even maybe some bishop into the game. So it definitely interesting line. Queen d7 would just transpose to the same line we saw after move 17. Rook f6 transpose. So c takes d4 played in both games in database. And after this, typical standard defense, as I said, it's not used that much in the practice as it should be. I offers you here two interesting ways. One is bishop c1 followed by king h1 with idea to play bishop g5 or play immediately king h1. Generally, I like more king h1. While exploring these lines, I think king h1 is always more serious move for us. We want to take knight h5, rook g5, so white is slightly better here and definitely demonstrates our aggressive intention in this line. So guys, you see, file is really big, really deep analyzed, but in my opinion, you should just learn the ideas. So the main idea is to play, knight g3, f3, e4, and definitely conclusion from me in this line is that black needs to play h5, h4 to prevent that. Any other popular choice would be bad for him. So even when that positions happen, even when we achieve the main line, is still when you analyze this position as I did, you see how much this position is actually dangerous for black. There is not a lot of top or high level games in this line, and it shows that if black don't find this c takes d4, knight e7, knight g6, his position will probably crumble very easily. Of course, it's easy to defend such a positions with engine, but I think practically speaking, especially when you surprise your opponent, this position is definitely not easy to be played. And you have definitely few more good ways to play. In this position you can play e4, g4, knight g3, so you can mix up a little bit, but until this moment I think everything is almost forced for us. So that's it, guys, with this line. I hope you enjoyed this. You're gonna enjoy this deeply prepared theoretical fight. You're gonna enjoy all this aggression play and tactical ideas we're gonna achieve at this position. And that's it from this chapter. And I'll see you in the next and last chapter 9.